Have you ever noticed that the strongest relationships aren't the ones that never argue? They're the ones where people know how to disagree without destroying each other. Because somewhere along the way, many people started believing that arguments are a sign that something is wrong within the relationship. That if you truly love each other, you should never get frustrated with each other, or never disagree, or never upset one another. We're human beings, of course we're going to, but that is not the reality. Two people can love each other deeply and still have different opinions, different needs, different perspectives, and different ways of seeing the world. The problem isn't usually the argument itself. The problem is how people behave during the argument. When emotions run high, kindness is often the first thing to leave the room. People stop listening and start defending. They start shouting, raising their voice. They stop trying to understand and start trying to win. And they stop communicating and start collecting evidence. And before long, the conversation is no longer about solving a problem. It becomes about proving who is right and who is wrong. But healthy relationships are not built on winning arguments. They are built on understanding each other. One of the most important things to remember is that when somebody reacts strongly, especially someone who is usually calm, it rarely happens overnight. People often look at the reaction and ignore everything that happened before it. They see the explosion, but not the pressure building underneath. They see the tears, but not the hurt that was never addressed. They see the frustration, but not the countless times concerns were dismissed, ignored, or minimized, or left unresolved. That does not mean that every reaction is justified. It means every reaction usually has a story behind it. And if you only focus on the reaction, you miss the message. This is why listening is so important. Not listening to reply, respond, or react. Not listening to defend yourself. Not listening to find flaws in the other person's argument. But listening to understand. Because most people are not actually asking you to fix everything. They are asking you to feel heard, to feel understood, to feel like their experience matters. And that changes everything. Another thing that damages relationships is assuming intentions. You start telling yourself stories. They don't care. They're selfish. They're doing this on purpose. They don't care about me. But assumptions are dangerous because they create arguments with the version of the person you've created in your mind rather than the person standing in front of you. Healthy communication requires curiosity. Instead of assuming, ask. Instead of attacking, explore. Instead of reacting immediately, pause. And that pause is incredibly powerful because when emotions take over, people often say things they don't mean and create damage that takes far longer to repair than the argument itself. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is stop talking for a moment. Take a breath, regulate yourself, your emotions, and return to the conversation when you can respond rather than react. Because there is a huge difference between those two things. Reacting is driven by emotion. Responding is driven by awareness. And awareness creates better outcomes. You see, relationships also require honesty. Not brutal honesty used as an excuse for being hurtful, but genuine honesty. Being honest about your feelings, being honest about your needs, being honest about your fears, being honest when something is bothering you before resentment starts building. Because resentment rarely appears overnight. It grows quietly, one disappointment at a time, one unmet need at a time, and one avoided conversation at a time, until eventually something small triggers something much bigger, and people wonder why the reaction feels so intense. The truth is, most healthy relationships are not built by avoiding difficult conversations. They are built by having them. and having them well, with kindness, with respect, with patience, with sincerity, and with the understanding that you are on the same team. Because when relationships become me versus you, everybody loses. The healthiest mindset is us versus the problem. That changes the entire dynamic. You stop trying to defeat each other and start trying to understand one another. And perhaps the most important thing of all is remembering that the person in front of you is a human being, a person carrying stress like you might be, a person carrying tears, a person carrying experiences you may not fully understand, just like you. So the next time you find yourself in a disagreement with somebody you care about, remember this: you don't have to avoid conflict, but you do have to be on the same team. You don't have to agree on everything, but you do have to remain kind, because words can be repaired. Trust can often be rebuilt. Problems can be solved, but cruelty leaves marks that last much longer than the argument itself. And often the difference between a relationship that grows stronger and the one that slowly breaks apart is not whether conflict exists, it's whether kindness remains present when conflict arrives. If this resonated with you, my book Fix Me is linked below, and make sure you like, share and subscribe to my channel for more content around relationships, emotional well-being and building a healthier relationship with yourself and others. I'll see you in the next video.